This is about your wallet, bold for voice emphasis. Right now, you're not worried about luxury. You're worried about groceries, gas, rent, and whether your paycheck will stretch to the end of the month. You're not alone. Millions of Americans are feeling squeezed from every direction. Prices are up, savings are down, and every unexpected bill feels like a punch to the gut. And that's why so many people are asking the same question. Is help finally coming in 2026? Or are we on our own again? This video isn't about politics. This isn't about headlines. This is about you, your family, and your financial survival. Because when your budget is already stretched thin, even a few $100s could mean catching up on rent, paying off overdue bills, putting real food on the table, and today we're breaking down exactly what's being discussed behind the scenes, what's real, what's rumor, and why 2026 could become a turning point or another disappointment. But before we talk about checks, we need to talk about the real problem first. The real financial problem Americans are facing. Let's be honest, the struggle didn't start this year. It's been building for years. Wages have gone up, yes, but not nearly as fast as rent, insurance, utilities, food. And when everything costs more at the same time, it creates a silent crisis in households across the country. Here's what many families are dealing with right now: living paycheck to paycheck, using credit cards for basic needs, delaying medical care, falling behind on bills. And when people start using debt just to survive, that's when things get dangerous. This isn't about bad money management. This is about the math simply not working anymore. So when people hear the words stimulus check, it's not about free money. It's about breathing room. It's about stability. It's about buying time. Which brings us to the next big question. If so many people are struggling, why hasn't help already arrived? Why relief has been so hard to pass? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Stimulus checks are politically complicated, expensive, and extremely controversial. Every time financial relief is discussed, lawmakers immediately argue about who qualifies, how much it should be, how it should be paid for. And while that debate drags on, families keep struggling in real time. Another big issue? Inflation fears. Some leaders believe sending out more money could push prices even higher. Others argue that without support, people will fall even deeper into debt and poverty. So what happens? Bills get proposed, committees review them, then they stall, and for everyday Americans, it feels like nothing ever moves fast enough. But here's where things get interesting. 2026 is not a normal year, and that changes everything. Why? 2026 changes the conversation. 2026 isn't just another calendar year. It's a major political turning point. Big elections, shifting control, new leadership possibilities. And historically, this is when economic support becomes a much louder conversation. Why? Because when voters are unhappy about the economy, leaders feel pressure to act. And right now, polls, surveys, and financial data all point to the same message. People feel financially insecure. Confidence in the economy is shaky. Cost of living remains the top concern that puts direct pressure on decision makers to show they're doing something to help. And that's why you're suddenly hearing more talk about tax rebates, targeted relief, cost of living credits, and yes, stimulus-style payments. But wait, because not all relief looks the same, and not all checks are actually checks. What stimulus might really mean this time? When people hear stimulus check, they imagine money landing in their bank account. But in 2026, relief could come in different forms, like tax refunds that are larger than normal monthly credits for families, utility assistance programs, rent support expansions. In other words, money you feel in your budget, even if it's not labeled as a check. This matters because sometimes relief programs already exist, but people don't realize they qualify. And sometimes new programs are structured in ways that reduce your expenses, increase your refunds, offset rising costs. So while everyone is waiting for a direct payment announcement, other financial support may arrive first, but that doesn't mean direct payments are off the table. In fact, discussions about them are happening right now, and that leads us to the big suspense moment everyone is waiting for. What could trigger payments? Here's the key factor that could change everything: the economy. If certain warning signs start flashing, leaders may feel forced to act quickly. Those warning signs include rising unemployment, sharp consumer spending drops, major market instability, housing stress. When those signals hit, emergency relief becomes much more likely. And economists are already watching several of these closely. So here's the wait for it moment. If economic pressure increases in early 2026, relief discussions could suddenly turn into real legislation very fast, because once the public feels real pain, politics moves faster. Not instantly, but faster than usual. And that's why staying informed right now is critical, because by the time payments are announced, it's often too late to prepare. Who would likely qualify if payments happen? Let's talk about eligibility, because this matters to your wallet. If direct relief happens, history tells us it would likely focus on low to middle income households, families with dependents, seniors on fixed incomes. Workers affected by economic slowdowns and income limits would almost certainly apply, which means not everyone would qualify, but millions still could. And that's why understanding thresholds, tax filing status, and benefit programs matters more than ever. Because if you qualify and you're not prepared, you could miss out. And yes, that has happened to people before, which is why smart viewers start tracking these updates early. Why tax filings could matter more than you think. If relief is tied to your taxes, then your tax return becomes your gateway to money. That's how many past programs worked. They used income from your last filed return, household size, dependency status. So, skipping tax filing, even if you owe nothing, could mean missing future payments, and that's a huge mistake many people don't realize until it's too late. So here's a mini summary moment. Relief may not come as a check. If it does, taxes likely determine eligibility. Filing accurately protects your chances. This is boring paperwork, yes, but it can directly affect real money in your pocket. How states may step in before federal help. Here's another important angle people forget. States can act faster than the federal government. Some states already offer cost of living rebates, property tax credits, utility support programs, emergency relief grants, and these programs expand when economic stress increases. So while everyone watches Washington, local programs could quietly help families much sooner. That means your relief in 2026 might depend heavily on where you live, what programs your state funds, whether you apply on time, and that's why staying updated on both federal and state relief matters, because help doesn't always come from one place. Why rumors spread so fast about stimulus. Let's talk about misinformation, because it's everywhere. Every week you'll see posts saying, checks approved, deposits coming tomorrow, government confirms payments, and most of the time, it's completely false. Why? Because hope spreads faster than facts, and scammers know people are desperate for relief, so they post dramatic headlines, fake countdowns, and misleading videos just to get clicks. That's why trusted updates matter. And that's why you should never give personal info to relief websites, click suspicious payment links, trust social media comments about deposits. Real relief is announced through official government channels, not viral posts. What economic data is signaling right now? So, what's actually happening beneath the headlines? Right now, economists are watching consumer debt levels, job market stability, inflation trends, housing affordability. And the data shows a mixed picture. Some areas look strong, others show serious stress, and that uncertainty is exactly what makes 2026 so unpredictable, because if things improve, lawmakers may hold back on relief. But if pressure increases, financial support becomes politically unavoidable, and that's the balancing act happening right now. What could delay or block payments? We also need to be realistic. Even if relief is discussed, things can still stall due to budget battles, political gridlock, disagreements on funding, and sometimes bills get watered down into smaller programs instead of big payments. So here's the honest truth. Stimulus in 2026 is possible, but not guaranteed. And anyone promising certainty right now is not being honest with you. What we can track are signals, negotiations, and economic trends, and those will tell the real story as the year approaches. What you can do right now to protect yourself. While politicians debate, you still have to survive today. So here are practical steps you can take. File taxes on time and accurately check state assistance programs. Avoid scams promising fast cash. Build even small emergency savings. And most importantly, stay informed, not panicked. Because emotional decisions during financial stress often create bigger problems later. Knowledge gives you control, and control gives you options. Why this moment matters more than you think. Here's the bigger picture. 2026 isn't just about stimulus. It's about the future of economic support systems. What gets passed, or doesn't, will shape tax credits, benefit programs, emergency aid structures for years ahead. So this conversation isn't just about short-term money. It's about long-term financial stability for millions of families. And that's why this topic deserves attention, not hype. Let me leave you with this. If you're struggling right now, your pain is real, your stress is valid, and you deserve clear, honest information, not false hope or empty promises. Stimulus in 2026 is not guaranteed, but it is absolutely being discussed, shaped, and influenced right now. And what happens next could directly affect your bills, your savings, your family's security. So don't tune this out. Stay informed, stay prepared, stay connected. Because when real updates happen, you deserve to hear the truth first, not after the money is gone. Subscribe for real financial updates. Turn on notifications so you don't miss what could affect your wallet. And drop a comment below. How are rising costs affecting your family right now? This isn't just news. This is your life and your money. And I'll keep bringing you the updates that matter most.